Welcome to the Valley Today, a public service presentation of KAIL TV. On this episode, we visit with Roy Bell of Bell Memmorials in Clovis. Started in 2000, Bell Memmorials creates the last thing you'll need if you want to be remembered, a headstone. Join us as we speak with Roy up next on the Valley Today. With Roy Bell here at Bell Memorial in Clovis, and you make memorials, you make tombstones for people that have passed.
Memorials, yes.
And everybody needs one eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we all have an expiration date.
I don't want to hear that. And I'm sure most people don't want to hear that, but
don't want to hear it. But
that is the truth.
That's
death and taxes.
Well, God stamped this expiration date, and we have to live with it.
Yeah. How did you get into a business like this?
Well, I was a rep for the granite company out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I was part of a couple of guys getting downsized, and so I said, well...
Okay, so a rep, that means that you were going around selling
granite.
Selling
yes.
For people that, for cutters.
Well, for people like myself now,
yeah.
The monument companies that would be buying granite. And I was downsized, and I decided that I was going to be the next person that downsized me again.
Yeah, God's going to downsize you when He takes you.
Exactly.
But other than that, nobody else is going to.
Well,
and this has probably got to be a screaming business. I mean, we were here on Martin Luther King Day, and you're busy.
Well, we're lucky.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. We're blessed. We have some families that give us good referrals, so we're very happy.
But there's not a lot of people that are making monuments. I know of one in Kingsburg because for some reason I always drove by the Kingsburg Cemetery,
right.
And I saw beer monuments next to the cemetery. But I'm from Reedley, and there's not a monument manufacturer in Reedley.
No,
there's not one
close.
in Selma.
Very close, Dinuba.
Yeah.
There's several in Fresno, and then there's one other here in Clovis.
Yeah.
So
there's not a lot of competition.
Well, it's a costly setup.
Yeah. Oh, you mean, to get the equipment going.
Equipment's expensive, and the granite's very heavy, so you have to have good equipment.
Yeah. I was looking at this. You had a block over here. It's 2,200 pounds.
Came from Elberton, Georgia.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this material is not from this area. I would have assumed that you were probably using locally mined granite, and there are a couple of mines here, but there's probably only, every region has its own type of granite and color.
Exactly.
So tell us about that.
Well, it just, like Texas has a lot of pink, and where the granite is found in local quarries, that color will stay pretty predominant in that quarry for years. Years. The Raymond Quarry is 150 years old, and it's pretty consistent. That's Sierra White right there in that slab.
And the granite coming out of this region of California is predominantly a kind of a white?
Well, there's two. There's Sierra White, which is a light, and then there's Academy granite off of 168, which is a dark gray charcoal color. So there are two. We're fortunate in our industry to be able to offer local granites to our customers who, generation after generation are buying the same granite for great-grandparents and then their grandparents and then for themselves. So we're able to use the local granite.
And I can imagine probably, do some people ask for local material?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. And so we are fortunate, some states don't have any and they import everything.
Yeah.
Import or bring it in, truck it in from other states.
What's interesting is that you've got stuff from around the world. I wouldn't assume that you were getting granite from other parts of the world, but you're getting stuff from all over, right?
Well, it just depends on the color and some of the designs, some of the etchings, some of the carvings are done all over the world.
Yeah. And so you order it pre-polished, cut and pre-polished. You're going to put the words on it yourself.
Words, design. We may end up redoing an edge and putting flowers or hand carving flowers or doing shape carved roses or whatever.
But this came pre-cut. For instance, this piece here.
Yes,
this was ordered and delivered to you.
Right, pre-cut, and then.
And where did this come from?
This came from India.
This came from India.
So.
Very interesting.
Carving is done. You send off what you want, and they do a pretty nice job. We have some domestic carvings as well. The home office, Cold Spring, Minnesota, has some carvers, and there's some carvers in the Bay Area.
The home office, that was the company that you used to work for before
Right.
you started this company here in Clovis.
That's correct.
And what was the name of that company?
Cold Spring Granite.
Cold Spring Granite, and the granite was coming from that area?
Well, they own 29 quarries.
They own 29 quarries, so they're probably throughout the world. They're sending granite throughout the world.
United States and Canada.
Yeah.
So they had 29.
Now, where were you born and raised?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. I would have thought that you were maybe from back east, but
No.
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 And so you went and worked in Minnesota.
Well, I interviewed in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting. As a side note, but they asked me what I'd like to hunt in Minnesota on my interview.
So there was method to the madness.
And I said a little white ball, and they kind of looked at me.
Yeah.
But
well,
yeah,
don't need too much gunpowder for playing golf.
No, you're right.
So this was pre-ordered. Did somebody order this, or did you just have?
I want to have. I feel like that if I have a family that wants something, they can look here, and I have a pretty good inventory, and if I can help them now rather than waiting, I don't want to prolong the agony of that final monument. So we have a pretty good inventory. So we try to do a pretty quick turnaround for families.
And as we were speaking earlier, it's death and then the whole funeral and putting the person in the, either they're going to be embalmed or they're going to be cremated.
Right.
And then this is the last step to closure for a family member who's been lost.
Exactly.
And this comes, what, 6 months to a year usually after the funeral service?
We try to inform families to wait. Take your time, to allow what you want on, to give yourself some time to make sure that what you end up putting on is what you really want.
Right.
If you do something right away, and the emotions might take you one way, and then after 6 months, you
would have said, "What was I thinking?"
What were you thinking? Because you weren't thinking. Emotionally, you weren't thinking. So we try to ask families to take your time. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for you. And at the time that you think you're ready, let's start that process of what's your thoughts, what direction, colors, and then start doing design work.
I can imagine that your business is as much in the grieving process for these families as when they were, having the picking out the casket and the burial plot and all that. I mean, it's
we feel like that if we can walk them through that, it's compassionately, and that last step is in fact as difficult because it stirs up those memories, and it's also final. It's the last thing that's going to happen. It's the last thing that they're going to be doing to memorialize and honor their loved ones.
You made a funny comment that the funeral will cost probably 10 times, 15 times as much as the memorial, yet they complain about the price. And this is what is lasting, because this is what they're going to see. Yeah. When they go to visit the deceased in the cemetery, this is what they're going to see.
This is what they're going to see.
Yeah.
That I often wonder, but that casket that they saw for an hour or 2 hours at the funeral, is never going to see it again.
Right.
But this will be there 100 for years.
Yeah.
150 years from now, relatives can go out there and touch it and
Have
feel a connection.
somewhat of a connection. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
To get this piece, if you ordered this from India, how long would it take to order this and then get it shipped to you? To have
Normally-
it cut and made?
Normally about 90 days.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah. Then 90 to 120 days and it's here. And then depending on the work that we have to do, it could be another month.
Yeah. Do you ever go into, the earliest California cemeteries and look at the monuments and see what they did 120 years ago? And
Every trip my wife and I take is wherever we land, we go to a cemetery.
yeah.
So in fact, that was our second date was
To a cemetery.
to the cemeteries up in San Francisco.
Wow. There's a lot of Portuguese that are buried out of Cambria, up on top of the mountain there.
Yes.
And there's some Danes there too. And these Danish women live forever. So you go up there and you're looking, 105 years, 110 years old. But you're looking at the type of monument that they made 100 years ago, and it's all cultural and style for that time. So
Exactly.
it really changes.
Yeah, it's nice, again, when you go to different parts of the world and parts of the United States to see the different types and colors, and it's just kind of nice for our industry to be able to bring a piece of that back. We have pictures of all of our trips, and so if somebody's looking for something unique, we actually put, we had a family take a picture of a stone in France, and we duplicated it, and it is now in Das Palace Cemetery.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was a unique piece out of Sierra White.
And welcome back to the Valley today with Roy Bell here at Bell Memorial in Clovis. And we are here in your shop, and you are putting the icons on this granite now.
Yes, and Sonny is cleaning this stone. We finished the sandblast.
Yeah.
And he's done the lettering, and now we're just peeling the rubber stencil off that protects it during the sandblast process.
So what stops the sand from cutting outside of the stenciled area?
Well, this is rubber, and so that rubber protects the granite polished surface during the sandblast process.
Okay.
So that's what he's doing, is removing
And then
that
how do
rubber.
you get an idea of how much depth you're cutting?
The automated sandblaster works really well. We also, it's just years of practice knowing how deep you need to go to get a certain look.
And so once you get the letters cut, then you go in there with paint. And
Well, yeah, it's a form of paint. It's lithochrome. It's made for our industry. It will be there for years and years and years, and you can get it in multiple colors, so you can do artwork on the stone if somebody wants a painted rose or any kind of additional paintwork, so you can get it in multiple colors.
I can imagine that Photoshop has really saved your bacon a couple of times, because now you can create all this on the computer and show it to the client before you actually start the process of cutting the stone.
In fact, all of our design stations have double monitors. There's one for the family and then one for the operator. So as we're designing the stone, the family is looking at the same process on their monitor.
Oh, really?
So they can say, well, gosh, I really like that, rather than trying to keep turning a monitor so they can be involved in the process.
Yeah.
We really want families to be involved. Obviously, it's not our stone, it's theirs. It's their loved one, and so we like them to be as involved. Bring photos, bring pictures, bring designs. If somebody's artistic in the family, bring that design and we'll make it happen.
I've noticed that you've been able to put pictures, color pictures on these monuments.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, we send a picture out and we get a medallion made, and then we sandblast the hole and recess the picture into that hole. It's a great process. You can...
How long will that color keep on that?
Well, it's guaranteed. They say it's guaranteed to the last surviving grandchild. So,
So 100 years.
100 years.
Wow.
It's a great company. They stand behind their product. We've taken pictures of one person in one photo, and we've taken a picture from the other person in another photo and combined them in one medallion, and it looks like they were taken at the same time.
You know, a question I should have asked you in the first segment was, why was it that you were downsized? I mean, this industry, you know, this is a growth industry with the population increasing. More people being born, more people are going to die. So I don't understand
The downside.
why there was a downsize when it's all nothing but up.
Well, one company bought another company, and they didn't want their employees.
I got you.
And
Okay.
so there was some extra employees.
Yeah, there was
and
some attrition through.
And so they made a proposal to the company I
Yeah.
work for, and the company said, well, okay.
What year did you start Bell Memorial?
In 2001.
Okay, so you've only been here 13 years or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And have you been at this location the entire time?
No, we started over the other side of Clovis, behind Lowe's.
Okay.
And that was, we were there 8 years. Excuse me, 4 years. And then we came here.
Yeah. This is really fantastic. And of course, you have your passion is for some of these veterans memorials that
Yes,
you have built.
I am a veteran.
Yeah.
And so we've done the lettering at the Clovis Community Memorial District building in honoring all the Clovis soldiers from World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, that have died
Yeah.
in conflict to protect our country. We've done the Wall of Honor at Veterans Hospital. We've done the POW Memorial. We've done the Purple Heart Memorial that's out in front of
The POW Memorial, was that the one that is that a traveling exhibit?
No. The POW was the local chapter of the POWs wanted something that's permanent. It's 4 foot wide, 7 foot tall, 6 inches, 8 inches thick, and it's out at the Veterans, in front of the Veterans Hospital.
Now, at the Veterans Hospital, you have a memorial there that you've built, and then you've been adding to it over time, but now it's going to come down. Is that the story?
Right, yeah. We built the Wall of Honor, and starting about 6 years ago. There's 1,085 names on the Wall of Honor.
Wow. All local boys.
All over.
Yeah.
If a local person wants their father who's in Massachusetts,
Oh, okay.
and he's a veteran,
Yeah.
they could buy a brick. They were $150 a brick. My name's on there.
And you served from 63
To 67
Okay, and in the Air Force.
in the Air Force.
Yeah. And you were in
Military police.
Okinawa.
Yes.
But that's when Vietnam was getting pretty hot, especially
Just
towards
started.
the end of your
Just-
service cycle.
Just started.
Yeah.
Actually, I spent Christmas of '64 guarding body, a C-130 with body bags coming back from
geez.
So
How
that's,
sad.
That's a Christmas I won't ever forget.
Yeah, yeah.
But the veterans are, being a vet, and the veterans work is really near and dear to all of us. My wife's first husband, who passed away, was also in the Air Force, and he's on the wall. Her father was in World War II, he's on the wall. So there is talk of taking the wall down. I'm very sad to hear. They're going to extend the hospital, and the staff there thinks that it won't survive the construction remodel.
It's
And
too
so
bad. Too bad they couldn't deconstruct it and move it and then do their addition and then bring it back in.
it would be a nice thing to do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not what's going to happen. So
yeah.
A lot of veterans groups are very unhappy.
Yeah, I can
Very
imagine.
unhappy.
I can imagine. There's a lot of guys, you know, and if it wasn't for the guys in World War II, this would be a whole different world.
Yeah,
if we had not won that war, you know.
We could be speaking some very different
Yeah.
languages.
Our neighbor to the south of us in Reedley was a pilot in the Pacific Theater in World War II, and you know, just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask him questions. There's some things that he couldn't talk about. You know, half his friends got killed. He was a 20-year-old lieutenant flying these fighter planes, and it was extremely difficult for him to talk about his participation in World War II.
The group that did the POW Memorial was led by a gentleman, Rudy Giannone, who was blown out of a B-17 over Germany and was marched across Poland. They did 600 miles in 90 days without food.
Jeez. And
When we put the last picture brick on that memorial, we asked him here in our shop if he would put that last brick on.
Nice.
And the tears
I can
were
imagine.
running down his face. And I'll tear up because
Yeah.
he's a good friend of ours now.
When a person comes in, let's change the subject now, and we'll just wrap it up with the memorial itself. When a person comes in and chooses a design, how long does it take you to take the product and get it to the end result?
We normally take about 3 to 4 weeks
Okay.
from the completion of the design till it arrives at the cemetery.
Yeah. And the cemeteries insist that they set the base, or if it's
Yeah.
flush with the ground, they'll set it. But some of these pieces that you have that are standing up, you'll come and set those, right?
That's correct. Most of the cemeteries want their people to set the bottom portion or the first piece of granite that arrives for an upright or
Yeah.
for a flat marker, so that they're done consistently.
And typically, when you are going to set this stone, do a lot of families come and participate and watch, or?
Yeah. Well, actually, Sonny and I installed an upright last Thursday, last Wednesday, and we had about 20 family members. They
Oh, wow.
wanted to be there, so
Yeah.
we had to call them when we left the office.
I got you.
So they wanted to be at the cemetery.
And of course, some of these pieces are just heavy as the dickens. So, what do you have, a crane that you use to set them? There you go, right
there's
there.
a crane on
Yeah.
our delivery
'Cause I
truck.
can't imagine that you're picking these unless it's a small little flush mount.
Yeah.
Then these other pieces, there's no way that.
We have a forklift.
Yeah.
We have a crane. Can't work without it.
Have you ever broken one? I know that's a
Sonny's
tough one,
laughing over there. Yes, yes, yes. Even broken it on my foot.
Oh
so
no, yeah. Well, that's not good.
yeah. Along
Are
with
there
broken toe.
we are almost out of time, Roy. Are there any last comments you'd like to make before we wrap this episode up?
I think I'm
You're good,
happy
huh?
to be able to say that.
Well, where can people get a hold of Bell Memorials? What's the phone number here?
The phone number is area code 559-299-7055.
And do you have a website?
Yes,
Yeah.
bellmemorials.net,
Uh-huh.
and you can contact us. If we're dealing with families that are out of town, we can email designs all over the world. So
That's
we do that all
great.
the time.
Yeah. Welcome to the new technology and how it's
Yes.
made our lives a little easier.
Those that can run it.
Yeah. Well, you're doing interesting work here. Roy Bell, thank you so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
Valley Today. And the Valley Today is a public service presentation of this great TV station. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Thank you.